All right, the 49ers losing today to the Minnesota Vikings by a final score of 23-17. That drops the Niners to a 1-1 record through 2 weeks of the 2024 season. We're recapping it all in what was a very frustrating afternoon for the San Francisco 49ers. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr. Really appreciate all of you for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and those of you who hopped on board and joined our watch party. 120,000 plus people tuned in throughout the course of the afternoon live here on the show. This is wild, and it's one of these sports stats that just don't make any sense at all. The San Francisco 49ers have not beaten the Minnesota Vikings in Minneapolis since 1992. That is now 8 straight losses for the Niners in Minnesota. Over the course of time, they have had better teams than the Vikings. Throughout the course of their respective franchise histories, the Niners have 5 Super Bowls. The Vikings have 0. But for whatever reason, there is always a weird vibe around the Niners when they travel to the state of Minnesota. And in the last 2 years under head coach Kyle Shanahan, they just have not played their best football. Mistake-filled football games that are head-scratchers in which this Niners team, especially offensively, can't gather any momentum at all, and their defense has lapses at inopportune times. So this Niners winless drought in the state of Minnesota continues, and what's crazy too is that Brock Purdy against NFC competition, he is now 14-2 in his career. Tremendous record. Both of his losses coming against the Vikings in Minneapolis in back-to-back seasons at US Bank Stadium. And the 49ers lost this game for a multitude of reasons, and I'm about to break all of that down here on the show. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. During our watch party, we surpassed 141,000 subscribers. If you want Niners shows every single day that are insightful, informative, entertaining, thought-provoking, that involve you, win or lose, we have you covered right here on this show. So going into this game, I had said, Brian Flores is a defensive mastermind in this league, and he has had Kyle Shanahan's number. And you think about what transpired last year between the Niners and the Vikings. 2 different teams here in 2024, of course, but the Niners last year made a lot of mistakes. They had self-inflicted wounds, and on both sides of the ball, they didn't play up to their caliber. And they had to play a clean brand of football in order to beat a very well-coached team. Niners didn't do that offensively, defensively, or on special teams. And Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores outcoached Kyle Shanahan and Nick Sorensen today. The offense was never able to get going as Brian Flores continues to just have Kyle Shanahan's offense figured out. And I thought that the game plan to start this game for San Francisco was very weird. You're coming off a week last week in which your offensive line played bully ball against the New York Jets. Jordan Mason ran for nearly 150 yards in that game against New York. Yet the Niners come out of the gates and they go pass heavy against a Vikings team that blitzes about 80% of the time with Brian Flores. And when they only send 3 or 4 guys, they're doing a lot of creative things up front with rushing 3, rushing 4 on their twists and stunts. So I just didn't like the game plan to start this game by Kyle Shanahan, considering the success that San Francisco had last week in really establishing the tone, establishing momentum, and setting a physical message in that game. Now, Brock Purdy still threw for more than 300 yards. Jordan Mason ran for 100 yards. But the Niners really couldn't get going. They had 7 points at halftime until the second half. And the Niners oftentimes as a team are such a different team when they start off ahead, leading, they find their rhythm and find their momentum. When they have to play catch up, everything seems so hard because they're taken out of their comfort zone. Also, with this Niners offense, the offensive line last week, they were dominant. They were terrible in this game. Brock Purdy was sacked 6 times, and he was pressured on 13 of his 36 dropbacks. Those 6 sacks and 13 pressures, a career high in Brock Purdy's career. Defensively, this 49ers third down defense was terrible. They could not get off the field in a lot of critical moments, especially that final Minnesota drive when the Niners were down by 6. They needed to get off the field, and they couldn't get off the field as Minnesota converted on multiple third down opportunities. And for the game, the Vikings on third downs were really good. 7 of 12. So you can't get off the field on third downs. You gave up a 97-yard touchdown pass from Sam Darnold to Justin Jefferson when you had a safety in George Odom, who's been a career special teams player, covering Justin Jefferson out of the slot. How does that happen? This Niners defensive line came to play. I thought they were able to generate some pressure from time to time. But when you give up 6 sacks, 13 pressures, you can't get off the field on third downs, the opposition is 7 of 12, you give up a 97-yard touchdown, and you had a punt blocked early in this game in which Mitch Wishnowsky got the punt blocked. He didn't even make an effort to make the tackle. That was a joke. Oftentimes in the NFL against a well-coached team, you are going to lose more times than not. Now, I have a lot more to get to here on the show. A lot of bad, some good. Stay tuned for that. But first, the sponsor for our post-game show is PXG. When I'm not in front of the camera talking Niners football, I love golfing when I have some free time, which is a rarity during the football season, but it's a way for me to kind of just unpack, deload, decompress, and hang out. But my iron game is always a work in progress. So when I heard how the new PXG Black Ops irons can dramatically improve my game, I had to give them a try. I booked a fitting at a PXG location. I brought my current irons, and I took the PXG Irons Challenge. And my fitting at the PXG facility was incredible. You have to set up a club fitting today. They'll put you in front of a golf simulator. They'll have a PXG instructor helping you out. They will analyze your swing. And then the data on the golf simulator, it'll take a look at the club face direction, the exit velocity, the carry, all of these different analytics, which will help you improve your golf game. And here's why PXG has the best irons. They are game improvement missile launchers that feature X-Core 2 technology and a dual cavity design. And if you bring your old irons to a PXG facility, and they outperform PXG's irons, they will give you a $100 MasterCard rewards card. So hurry up. This offer ends October 7th. Book your fitting today at pxg.com. There are hundreds of locations across America, including one in the East Bay, 200 plus locations to visit across the United States. That East Bay location is in Dublin, California. In Southern California, Orange County, Huntington Beach, Stone Tree Golf Club in Novato, California, hundreds more nationally. And when you go to PXG and you arrive there, tell them that Chat Sports, Chase Sr., and the 49ers Report sent you. Let's continue to recap this awful Niners loss. And I'm fired up about this because these losses can't continue to happen against inferior competition. You can't tell me that Minnesota is a better team than the Niners. They're not. San Francisco has 4 more talent, yet they continue to have these awful games in the state of Minneapolis. And today, they just got outcoached by Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. And it's perplexing to me how the Niners' offensive line could be so dominant against the Jets last week and then play so poorly against Minnesota. You know that Brian Flores is going to dial up a lot of pressure. He blitzes about 80% of the time. Yet the Niners weren't prepared for those blitzes. Even when the Vikings only sent 4, the Niners couldn't hold up in pass protection, as Brock Purdy was just under pressure all throughout the game. Now, there was some good, of course. There was a 12-play, 99-yard drive for the Niners when they had to have a touchdown. Jordan Mason found pay dirt. Fred Warner continues to be the best off-ball linebacker in the NFL. He did everything to keep the Niners in this game. Intercepted Sam Darnold, forced a fumble on Aaron Jones, which was recovered at the 1-yard line by Isaac Yiadom. But the Niners, it seems as though every time they lose, it's when they shoot themselves in the foot. And you look at the numbers here, I mean, there's not really a difference between these two teams. Vikings pick up 403 total yards to the Niners, 399. Niners picked up 7 more first downs, 24-17. But San Francisco's third down offense, not good. Red zone offense, not good once again. Vikings' third down offense was tremendous. Niners had 4 penalties for 30 yards. The Vikings had 7 for 53. And the Niners, once again, one time of possession. So why did they lose this game? Turnovers. Brock Purdy pick. Ball just slips right out of his hand. 1 play later, Vikings score a touchdown. Purdy has to be better, and I thought that he played a pretty good game against a really good defense. You can't have a punt blocked. That led to 3 more Vikings points. And the offensive line protection has to be better. And this is one of my concerns going into the year with the new rookie defensive coordinator, Nick Sorensen, especially when you're going up against the likes of Aaron Rodgers in week 1 and a great play caller and play designer and Kevin O'Connell in week 2. How do you fare on some of the money downs? How do you fare on some of the huge downs within a football game? And Kevin O'Connell was able to pants Nick Sorensen on third downs in this game. So those are really the thoughts that come to mind for me. Niners, wins just evade them in Minnesota. Can't beat the Vikings in Minneapolis. It is so weird. 8 straight losses, 3+ decades of bad football in the state of Minneapolis, or in the city of Minneapolis in the state of Minnesota. Just a head-scratching, very frustrating game for San Francisco in this one. So grade the Niners in week 2. I'm giving them a D or an F. Should have won this game. Big favorites in this game. I know that you're without Christian McCaffrey. Jordan Mason still runs for 100 yards. The game plan was not good. The execution was not there. The mistakes, they cost San Francisco in this game. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Keep it locked here on the Niners Report.